My name is Katie. I am a biology pre-physician assistant major, so I'm in grad school now for a physician assistant. I had a minor in international studies, and my thesis was on a genetic disease called Friedreich's ataxia, and I studied gene knockouts in mouse models.
Hello, my name is Kevin Barry. I graduated from Arcadia University as a biology pre-PT major, and my thesis was on the development of cephalic lobes in the miliobatid and rhinopterid families. So in layman's terms, that's basically just the development of a unique set of appendages on ocean creatures like manta rays and stingrays.
So my name is Justin Lewis. I double majored in both Italian language and cultural studies and computer science. And my Italian thesis was on the rise of the far right in Italy and the reasons behind it, sort of analyzing how they came to power and how they're still have a major influence in mainstream Italian politics. And then my computer science thesis or capstone project was building a website for the Learning Resource Network. So with two other classmates or teammates.
It definitely wasn't ideal, but I feel like the professors were really great about like communicating with us and giving us like more time, and they were a little bit more lax than I think they would have been if we were in person, just because you're only relying on emailing them or Zoom calls, and you couldn't just swing by their office and ask a question. And then we actually didn't have any Zoom calls for senior STEM either. So it all just turned into like them posting panoptos and stuff like that. So because we didn't have like a direct time every week, like a set time to meet, that was a little harder. So I think that they were a little bit easier on us in terms of turning things in, because if we couldn't meet with somebody until the end of the week, but something was due on Friday, then they would say, it's fine, you can turn it in on Monday. But they still wanted us to be able to like get our full like thesis in and feel like we completed something that we could be proud of.
Transition wasn't too terrible, to be honest, for both of my like thesis projects. For computer science, we had already pretty much done a lot of the work because it's a two semester project. So it ended up just being me and my teammates meeting virtually. So it wasn't terrible. Collaborating to get a lot of work done and finding time to do that fit into everybody's schedules was kind of hard, but it wasn't bad.
The thesis advisors for the biology program were super good about emailing us all the presentations and stuff that we didn't necessarily get a chance to finish up with our in-person meetings. So there really wasn't a big difference. The Arcadia staff really did a great job of making sure we had all the resources that were needed to be able to finish up our theses.
I think it wasn't hard to keep in contact with them because they were great about answering. My advisor would do a lot of the edits on Word and then just put in comments. So he'd like cross things out and I could see what he edited, and he'd say like, try this or do this. And then he'd give me some time to go back and review, and then we would Zoom and we would both have our things up and we would like look at the changes that I made. But I feel like it wasn't hard to like get a hold of him. I never felt like I was like left hanging.
I definitely, just in general, throughout the entire thesis project, whether it was online or in person, I know very much depending on who you are as a person, the type of work style that you have, and who your advisor was. Some people were constantly meeting with their advisors in person, were in constant communication. I know I personally whenever I had a question, I felt comfortable reaching out to my thesis advisor, but I was okay with being able to work on it independently for most of the time, and only when I needed feedback, my thesis advisor was there to give it to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And that kind of ties into my experience as well. Like I had two very different advisors, obviously for very different majors. And my Italian advisor, Dr. Golbosera, was more, I don't want to say hands-on, but he checked in more often, I would say. Dr. Aris was really also involved, but there was less that he could help with in our project, if that makes sense. Like we didn't really need as much help.
Really telling yourself that you're still in class, and even though you're in your house, you have to still like try to focus and like be present and treat it like that hour-long class is your hour. And just like try not to go on your phone, try not to like whatever you would do in class, do it at home. You can't treat it any differently.
What helped me was to really like at least set a chunk of time away, like a decent amount of time. That way you give yourself like every day to work on something, or like whenever you want to do it. But if you're going to sit down to work on something, you like I had to at least schedule a block of time that I knew I was going to dedicate to just working. Because if I tried to like write my Italian thesis while I was watching TV or something like that, like obviously, or like with the TV on or just in the living room, it didn't work out that well. So I had to like force myself to block off time to dedicate specifically to like thesis stuff. So that's probably the best piece of advice I could give. Don't like just assume that you're going to be able to sit in your living room with everybody, your whole family around and get work done.
If it's possible for you to set even like geographical boundaries, like as much as you want to, as much as it would be great to, don't try to do online lectures or do homework when you're in bed just sitting up, because that might make you lose a lot of motivation, especially if you're used to scrolling through Instagram before bed or something. You might be more inclined to get distracted and procrastinate. Whereas if you have separate spaces, like if you only do your homework at your desk and then you have a chair that you like to watch Netflix in, that geographic, that spatial difference might really help you to focus. It definitely helped me to focus by actually having a place where I know, okay, when I'm sitting here, I'm doing work. Whereas other places, that's where I can like read a book for fun or watch a movie or something like that.
I would say just try to enjoy it as much as you can, and like not to harp on the fact that it's not what you expected it to be. I think that obviously our senior year, it really didn't end the way we expected, but it's one of those things that you just have to be okay with and make the best of it. And you'll have other opportunities, like whatever job you get afterwards or grad school, if you go back for more school, like it all works itself out. Like at first I thought I was going to hate being online for PA school. But I like it now, and I've gotten used to it, and I've gotten myself into a schedule and everything. So I feel like as long as you just you look at the positives and not the negatives of the situation, it makes it a lot easier to deal with. It's definitely not all bad. It's not ideal, but you can do it and make it the way you want it to be. And I do like a lot of Zoom calls with friends in the program now that I've made, and we still do like study sessions, and I don't know, you have to just pretend like it's the new norm, I guess, and get used to it.